Right.
Hello, this is Jasmine Martin, and I'm here with Dr. Matthews, who is Executive Director over the Science Center. So, Dr. Matthews, why did you choose biomedical engineering as a major?
So I chose biomedical engineering as a major through a process. So when I was young, I wanted to be a doctor. And I kept thinking about what kind of doctor I would be. And then I realized that I didn't like sick people. And I didn't want to work with sick people. And so that kind of got in the way of that. But then I went to a program that was around science and engineering for young ladies. And it made me start thinking about my doctor must not be building the tools that he used on me, right? So you go to the doctor's office, they have all these tools or these machines that they use to take pictures, MRI, CT scanners, all this different kind of stuff, all the medicines, they got to come from somewhere. And so that's when I decided that there must be some kind of engineer behind the doctors. And so that's when I looked into it, made up the word biomedical engineering, and then it turned out to be a real word. And so that's how I ended up choosing that as a major.
Were there any negative aspects when going into this major or this career?
I don't think there are any necessarily negative aspects about the career itself, but there were definitely some times when I think the environment wasn't very positive, right? So I was in the School of Engineering, and girls were outnumbered, right? So there were definitely more guys than girls, and sometimes people thought that made sense. And sometimes people did not think that made sense. So I have the stories of teachers that wouldn't call on me, of other teachers who said, well, maybe you don't really need a PhD. Maybe you can just stop and do something else, and sort of those kinds of things. But it wasn't about what I was learning, right? I think the science was very cool, and what we could do with this kind of engineering was actually really cool. And what I learned to do was I learned to look for people who are essentially on my team, right? You know, yeah, everywhere you go, there'll be some folks who are not on your team. But I didn't focus there. I tried to focus on getting the people who were on my team and staying close to them and getting support from them.
So that was your drive.
So that was my drive. Well, that was my support system. My drive was everyone who told me that I could not do something. I'm one of those kinds of people. So when folks tell me I can't do something, I kind of just write your name down. and then use that, I think, a bit as a motivator. And actually what I usually do is then I one up whatever the conversation was, right? So I once had a guidance counselor that basically said that she thought that Yale was out of my league. So I applied to Harvard instead. And so I still have my acceptance certificate to Harvard, even though I ultimately chose to go to Duke University because I wanted to go south. And so I like that environment. I remember when I was told, I don't know what a girl like you would do with a PhD, and I have one. So that's also, I think, part of the drive and the motivation.
So you started a program called the S.T.E.M Project. How did that come about? Like, why did you produce it?
So I started the S.T.E.M Project because I saw what everyone else sees. We don't have enough women taking on STEM careers, and we have way too many young ladies saying things like, I don't like science, I don't like math, I don't think I'd be good at it anyway. And as a teacher, now that I've been sort of in the classroom and out of the classroom, I can actually tell the difference between when someone is saying, I really don't like it, and they're saying, I'm going to tell you I don't like it because I don't think I'm good enough to do it, and that this way I get out of it. And that's what I react against. So I saw a lot of that. And then I remembered what changed my mind about science and engineering. I mean, I was a smart kid. I was even competitive. But I still didn't see myself doing anything with science and math until I got in a program, and it was designed for girls, specifically for girls, and specifically to talk to young ladies about the kinds of things we could do with science and math. And I think that is a difference. I think young ladies always want to know what for, why, what's this good for, how can I use this? I already have a life plan. I just need to know if what you're saying fits into my life plan. And so, when you're designing a program to talk about what you can do with something as opposed to just what something is. And so it worked for me. And so I wanted to create a program. Now, the program I was in, I didn't get in until high school. So I decided I wanted a program that would start even younger. And so that's why we start the STEM and S.T.E.M project in middle school.
So, as you just said, I guess I got prior